Oh hey, Prep has a problem.
A water problem. California has been in and out of drought since 2007 and has increased water consumption and cost. At PrEP, since 2012 to 2023, PrEP has used over 1 million gallons and $16,000, and this problem is only going to get worse.
But don't worry, we have a solution. Here we are behind the gym. This is the first one of 4 locations we want to put a 500-gallon water harvesting system in. Here's our second location behind Norris Auditorium. We want to put a 500-gallon tank right here to catch runoff. Here we are at our third location on the side of the BCB. We want to put another 500-gallon tank right here. This is our fourth location on the other side of the BCB. We want to put our last 500-gallon tank right over here. So as you've heard me say throughout this presentation, we want to install 4 500-gallon tanks around campus. But all of our projections for this video will be coming from this location, right behind the BCB. Now let's talk about math. According to LAcounty.gov, La Cañada got about 42.26 inches of rain from October 2022 to April 13th, 2023. Multiply that by 5,833, the surface area of the BCB, and then you multiply that by this constant to convert us into gallons. And in the absolute best case scenario, we will get about 153,571 gallons harvested from the rainfall. This equation is from University of Arizona, and even though this is specifically for the BCB and our best case scenario, we are using it as a rough estimate for all of our 4 water tanks. Now you might be asking yourself, how much money is this going to cost us? Well, according to the Chelsea Construction Corporation, our project should cost about $8,000. That includes the price of 4 500-gallon tanks, the cost of installation, and any extra add-ons we need to connect it to the irrigation system. But don't worry, here are some mitigations to the cost provided. First, we get a $250 rebate on exactly one of the tanks, which is not exactly what we're looking for, but it does help out. Also, we need to consider the fact that in the long run, this is actually going to save the school a lot of money. In fact, when we tally how much it costs per gallon of water now versus what we'd save off of our projected estimations, we'd actually be saving the school $1,900 every year, meaning that the system pays itself off in 4 to 5 years. With the cost of water and our consumption of it going up every single year, it's actually probably economically feasible to implement our project now while we still have time. There's also the ethical consideration. When we consider the damage we do to our environment and our overuse of water, it is critical that we act now before it's too late. Can anyone tell me who the stakeholders are? Brandon?
As for our stakeholders, we have the students, faculty, and teachers at Flinders Prep, and it can be used as a physical learning tool as it is easy to access right on campus. There's a school in San Diego called Franklin Elementary who have used these water tanks before to help their own kids study from these tools.
But it isn't just Franklin Elementary. There's a group of 12 schools in Texas who have also implemented rainwater harvesting systems, and they've all reported saving money and water through those. There aren't any local schools in La Cañada that have implemented any of these rainwater harvesting systems, and thus it is imperative that Flinders Prep is the first. So what adversity might our project face? Well, it really comes down to 3 key points. First is the cost. Our project costs a lot of money, and we acknowledge that. But we do think that with the ethical considerations as well as our cost alleviation over time, our project pretty much pays for itself. Second is the location and space. Space is a highly valued commodity here at Prep, and we understand that these tanks aren't small. But by choosing locations in conjunction with Mr. Adams, right, we've actually mitigated the harm of the amount of space that we're using, and we've chosen places that are ideal for our project. Finally, there is a potential for runoff from these water tanks if they get too full. Simply, we would just need to use the water before the tanks became full. This is as easy as installing a water measure reader on the side of the tank so we know how much water is in the tank before we actually use it for something else. Now you may be asking yourself, how are we going to get the rainwater from the roof down into the tanks? And the answer is we're hoping to utilize these gutters that are at the 3 aforementioned locations. The main purpose of gutters as is to direct the rainwater from the roof down away from the property. And we're hoping to utilize those gutters and make it act as a funnel to take the water from the roof directly into the tanks.
So how much money can our project save the school? Using the charts that Mr. Adams Wright gave us, we essentially converted CCF to gallons using this metric right here at the bottom. Then we were able to determine how many gallons each meter used and how much it cost to operate each one. Then I used this equation up here in order to get a rudimentary cost per gallon. So essentially that number turned out to be an average of $0.0124 per gallon. And then using that average times the projected savings in gallons, I was able to determine that our project would save the school approximately $1,934.
For the low cost of 4 500-gallon water tanks, Leonard Prep can save 153,000 gallons of water a year out of the 990,000 gallons that we use to water.
The project itself will cost $8,000, but will save around $1,900 per year.
We sincerely hope that you'll invest in BEEtter water harvesting system.